Welcome to Gifted Underachievers, the podcast for mid-level creatives with delusional ambitions. In this segment, Pat tells the story of how a Dutch woman asked a key and insightful question about the protagonist in Pat's current novel. This led to the insight that valuable advice, thoughts, and perspectives on our work often come from non-artists. How can we capture that lightning in a bottle? Do we rely too much on creative industry insights and insiders? Do we get too caught up in how the machine works rather than what it produces? Bab, what's going on over there?
Wait a minute. Hey, James. Hey, James.
Lord, are you okay?
I was either choking on a hairball or I was clearing my throat. I don't even know.
Yeah, I've noticed you've been eating a lot of pistachios lately, so maybe now you got a shell stuck in your throat.
Way down in my gullet.
Yeah.
Oh, I got something stuck in there. Okay, so I wanted to tell you something that happened that made me think differently, actually. Well, it made me think.
Okay.
So I was away. I was in Spain. Now the location can be divulged. Beautiful town, really beautiful. I really had a great experience there. And
Good.
I was in a VRBO or Verbo, I don't even know what you call them, vacation rental by owner, and the owner came to stay in their suite in this building. It was a building with like 3 or 4 suites, and she's just a really nice woman, a Dutch woman, Amsterdam woman, and wonderful person, very cool, read a lot, big reader, read in Dutch, her first language, and also in English, had a big stack of books inside the front door that you could grab a book on your way up to your suite, or your apartment or whatever. So, my kind of people, great woman. So I was talking to her. She said, "What's your book about?" Because she knew I was working on a book there, a novel. And I gave the most ham-fisted explanation. Oh, I don't have an elevator pitch for that thing. So she went, "Oh, okay, yeah, I get it. That sounds interesting." And then she said, "Is the person a victim? Do they feel like a victim?" And I was like, "Well, I didn't." Like long silence, deer in headlights, and then I was like, "No, you know what? I didn't mean her to be, but the way I'm describing it, it sounds like a victim story. Like where somebody feels from at the beginning that that they're living this life they don't like, and it's not their fault, right? It's somebody else's. It's the world's fault, and that's a victim. That's a total victim story. So, so I was walking along, I went for these long walks every day, and I was walking along thinking about it, and I was like, this is the key. This is how to make it a fun read, is the fact that she's not a victim. And so, you know how when you're doing stuff in your life and you're like, you're not feeling, well, I don't anyway. If I catch myself thinking, "Oh, that's that fucking so and so, blah, blah, blah," and I'm thinking it for more than about a second or, 5 minutes or whatever, I stop myself immediately and go, I just change my train of thought, because there's no percentage in thinking people are fucking with you. It's not usually true. And it's usually old stuff that's coming up in your psyche that you're tripping over. And so that changed everything, because I thought about this person's situation from the point of view of, they don't believe that anybody is doing them wrong. They are in this terrible pickle thinking that they're killing it, and that life is, yes, there are these issues to solve, but it's not like they're not down in the dumps. They're actually feeling like a winner. And that made me laugh so hard, and it got back my juice. And so what I was realizing just from that, so what happens in our industry, like the writing slash publishing industry, to me, is that we deal with a lot of sort of insiders, like, oh, agents, publishers, sure, but a lot of other writers, right? Tons of writers. And writers will ask you more about, what's the inciting incident, what's plot point one, right? They won't ask you this kind of core question about the character's identity in the way that non-professional, like non-writing industry person did, because she was asking as a reader. She doesn't like victim stories. They leave her
Right.
cold. She's got no interest in them, and neither do I. But the
Hmm.
fact that
Yeah.
she actually caught the most important thing about for especially for the stage of the novel I was in, because I was still ideating and writing the first quarter of it, right? So that informs everything. And I was running out of ideas because I had the wrong trait attached to this protagonist. It's
Uh-huh.
hard to have a good victim protagonist. So
Right.
she didn't know that any of that stuff, objective,
Mhm.
like in the theory of or how it
Yeah.
would affect your ability to write a story. She just asked a very good question. And I think that we can get so um me particularly, I know so much, I've read so many craft books, and I don't want to sound like an asshole, like I don't know more than anybody else, but it's our jobs, right? To know about
Yeah.
story structure and characterization and all this stuff. And I was looking at it from a technical point of view and not from a do I want to read about this person point of view.
Right. Right. Yes. Yes and yes. And this is the art, right?
Yeah.
So, when you think about visual art, and going to a gallery and seeing stuff that you just don't get,
Yeah.
right? This does nothing for me.
Yeah.
Where is this coming from? And this isn't to necessarily criticize, but it's so internalized, it's so, inside baseball,
Yeah.
that the people who are inside baseball see it and they go, "Oh, they're branching out. They're taking something in a new direction."
Yeah.
Because what came before was this, and they have this understanding of it, whereas just the general audience who's not inside baseball, who's just an
Yeah.
audience, doesn't get it,
Yeah.
right? They don't see it, they don't feel it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times, you just get into it's like you're in the machine or something, and so you
Hmm.
get too caught up in how the machine works as
Yeah.
opposed to what it produces.
That's a good one.
And so, we think about everything from, like you were saying, oh, what's your inciting incident? What's your narrative arc? Where does the
Yeah.
character, how do you introduce this? And whereas a reader is going to think from the perspective, or the audience of anything is going to think from the perspective of, would I like it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Would it speak to me?
Yeah.
Is it a type of music? I don't like country, and you're telling me about a country song,
Right?
or
Yeah.
all these kinds of things. And so I feel like, we don't probably, and I'm generalizing in a huge degree, obviously, but I really kind of believe we don't spend as much time thinking about the audience, maybe,
Yeah.
and gathering that perspective as we should. We talk about sales.
It's true.
Um,
You're right.
but in publishing, it's really more leans toward picking up an agent or being able to sell something to a publisher, and ultimately selling to a customer
Yeah.
is so far down the line that you almost kind of forget about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
And to your
And
detriment, actually to use your machine analogy, let's say the machine is a car, right?
yeah.
You open you're behind the wheel, you open the passenger side door, you reach over and if it's another writer that you're
Mhm.
inviting into the car, they'll be like, pop the hood, I want to see how the engine works.
Right.
If it's a reader, they'll decide if they want to get in your car. And it's because they want to feel like you're going to take them for an entertaining ride. It's got to be a good ride.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
about what's under the hood.
Yeah.
So
What are
they're,
we going to see?
yeah, where are we going?
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
so and there's this guy named Paul Schrader. He's a screenwriter. He wrote Taxi Driver, worked with
Uh-huh.
Scorsese a lot. So he's had some bad screenplays, and he's had some good ones, but he does this thing that I think is much more common in the writing for screen and television industry, where you got to pitch the story a few times before you even write it.
Right.
And so his method is to pitch the story to just random people, like a barista, if they've got the
Mhm.
time, he'll pitch the story to a buddy and they're out for a walk. He'll
Oh,
record
that's
himself
smart.
pitching the story. He'll pitch the story and he'll look at when their eyes glaze over. And by it's like he'll pitch it 40 or 50 times before he starts writing. And every time he
Yeah.
wants their attention for the entire pitch, right? And I don't think the
Right.
pitches are super long, but maybe it's a 3-minute pitch or something. And so he hones the story before he starts writing by pitching it to he does
Yeah.
he doesn't pitch it to industry people until regular people have said, yeah, I'd watch that movie.
Right. Right. And and that's so smart, right?
Yeah,
So, um, you think about being prepared for an opportunity, right? So you get on an elevator and there's Barry Diller.
right.
And you're like,
Who's
I
he?
have a screenplay that does this. He's a producer, big
Okay.
movie,
All
right?
right.
And so you'd say, I have a screenplay that does this.
Uh,
If you're this guy that you're talking about, he's practiced it so many times
yeah.
that he can just slip right into it,
Yeah.
right? But if you haven't practiced, you're just gonna flub it all up.
Oh, you're
And
fumbling around. I've done that
yeah,
at
yeah,
story pitch sessions at writing conferences.
yeah. Oh my
To
gosh. Yeah,
agents. They're like,
yeah.
what
And you
happens in the
think
middle of your book? I'm like, I have no fucking idea. God, I wrote it already.
people do things. They go to the bathroom. I don't know
My
what do
character
they do in most books,
fumbles around and everything goes wrong. Oh my God.
Yeah, if it's a John Irving book, they often go to Europe.
Yeah. This Paul Schrader guy, he will pitch. I think eventually his pitch stops talking to people. His pitch becomes 40 minutes long because he is doing the entire plot of the
Yeah,
movie. So at that point, he's taking it away. He's got the good sort of elevator pitch responses that he needs. And then he starts pitching it to himself. And he's got the
right,
story down orally. 40 minutes of talking about a story is screenplay length.
right.
So
Yeah. Yeah, I
um
mean, an average screenplay is 125 pages to maybe 130, 140,
yeah, it's
and
a
a
minute a page,
very
right?
sparse amount of writing on each page. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's the idea. So here's, I guess, what I'm wondering, because it was very painful to try and explain my novel to somebody who was standing in their doorway and I was in the front hall taking a book off the stack and
Yeah.
going, fumble, 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 like just, and then I was like, it's about the patriarchy, and then, and, okay, so she asked her cogent question, and I'm like, oh, I went, we finished talking. I went upstairs and I went for my walk and stuff. And then I was like, that was painful, that experience for
Yeah.
me. It wasn't painful to the point where I wish I hadn't had it because it gave me such great ideas.
Mhm.
But it was the kind of thing I'm like, that takes guts to pitch, to describe what you're working on to a non-professional because
Yeah.
they will ask you they might not, they might give you feedback that you don't want to hear, right? It's easier
Yeah.
to work on your shit until it's a polished piece and then submit it, but that is the wrong, to me, that's so I guess what I'm looking
Yeah.
for, how do you pitch when you're not sure if your idea sucks or
Yeah.
not? Like, how do you get the balls to do it?
Well, so one thing I was going to say is that it's much easier to pitch something to a fellow writer
Yeah.
because when they ask, well, what's your inciting incident? I could say, oh, it's the car crash.
Yeah,
Or,
exactly.
I'm prepared for that, right? I
Yeah,
can talk about the engine all day long.
exactly.
But when you are pitching to somebody who is the outsider and they get in and they're like, where are you taking me? And am I going to care?
Yeah,
It's like, but not only that, they don't speak the vernacular,
it's
right?
true.
They
There's a
don't,
vocabulary for sure. Yeah.
yeah. When you say, well, the inciting incident, they're like, what
Yeah.
are you talking about?
Yeah.
Or, the pinch point, it happened, the first pinch point happens here.
Yeah, yeah.
They don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And so you have to be able to speak to them in their language and be compelling. And if you haven't practiced that, it's really nerve-wracking,
You
you
know
know?
what? It's making me think of the oral tradition, how valuable it is.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna start doing more narrative, like just I'm just gonna start describing what I'm working on to
Hmm.
random and unhappy family
Oh,
members.
you're gonna be that person on the bus,
Oh fuck no.
sits
Yeah.
down next to somebody. Let me tell you about my novel.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be funny?
Yeah.
As soon as you
That,
said that, I flashed back on this experience I had. There was this fucking weird old guy on the bus sat down next to me and started talking about the contrails. You know what those are when the
oh
jets
yeah. Yeah.
It's conspiracy theory. He was for sure. They were like they're tracking our thoughts right now. He wasn't wearing a tinfoil hat or anything. But
He's pitching his Matrix movie.
he's pitching something, pitching a big wad of caca, and I'm catching it because I'm on the bus.
Yeah, you made eye contact. That's
I'm terrible because I'm
don't
always
do that.
looking at people, right? And sometimes they
Oh
look
yeah.
back, and they sit down next to me and start smoking.
Hey, I know. I'm always looking at people and thinking about them as a character,
Yeah, I
you
do.
know?
Yeah,
And
that's why masks
look
and
they look
sunglasses.
at yeah, well they look back like, why are you such an asshole? You know?
That person must be interested in me. It's gotten a lot better since I let my hair. I don't have dark hair anymore. Because
Uh,
you're invisible basically when you start
when you're
looking
gray.
older, especially for women. So yeah. So
Well, we've talked about this, and my answer to that is make yourself uninvisible.
what? Red lipstick?
Yeah, be seen, whatever it takes.
Push up
Be
bras?
loud, be brash, be bossy, be crazy. Do
Now I'm
not allow
flashing back
yourself.
a different bus trip. I took a bus from the Elvis Presley Museum. Where was it? Tennessee, maybe, and then to Graceland, his former mansion, to do a tour. And there was this woman. I only saw her from the back. I thought she was in her 20s, long blonde hair, cute outfit. She got up and walked off the bus, and I was behind. I was in a back row, so I got up and I was like, "Oh, I can't wait to see what she looks like, in her face." And I saw her face, and she was probably 80 years old. Uh,
Wow.
yeah, and I was like, "There's a surprise." So
Well,
that's how you get attention. That's how you
when
get
I
looked
was
at.
18, I was looking around I think I was on a subway actually. So you're a little bit more like you can't pull the like cord to get
Yeah,
out,
you're right. You gotta wait
to
till it
bail out.
stops.
And I looked at this black woman. I think I was like 18.
Yeah.
And I'm just like looking at her and I was thinking, oh, she looks like she could be like in this really cool funk band. I'm like having this whole like, gifted underachievers delusional moment, right? And she looks up and sees me and immediately, what the fuck are you looking at?
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
that's when you should pitch your book.
Yeah. I'm thinking about you in a funk band. Oh God, that would go over well. Not. Yeah,
But
so
yeah, because
I'll
you
I'll try
don't
it on
know.
family. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
well, I think you got to go beyond
You
family because
do.
there's
Like,
so
I'm
much
scared.
familiarity, right?
Family's too nice. They're not going to tell
Yeah.
you, they're not going to ask you the hard questions.
Yeah, well, and you've got like what, 30, 40 siblings? Something like that?
Three. I've got three
Oh yeah, three.
siblings.
Okay. So they're, the first one you call, they're going to immediately speed dial everybody else and be like, yeah, Pat's
They
pitching her book.
don't even
Watch
answer
out.
the phone
Don't
for
answer the phone.
Who can I talk to that
But you
isn't a
need that
writer?
person who like has no real relationship with you other than this, moment,
Like
you
my
know,
landlady in
interaction like the
Spain.
landlady who is completely free to be like, yeah, I don't like it. I don't like stories about suburbia,
Yeah,
or I mean, in your case, victim stories, right? I don't want to I don't want to read from the perspective of a victim,
yeah.
you know.
I I
Um,
just uh I just like how many people are like that. Like I live in it's a fairly large city, 2 million people.
mhm.
Um, there's people I know that I've known for a long time, and then there's everybody else.
Yeah,
And I don't know them. So how do I get hold
yeah.
of them? Like how do you
Well, look for the
actually
Dutch speakers. The Dutch are famous for this kind of feedback, by the way.
you're bullshitting
And
me, right?
I know this because I am married to a Dutch woman.
Oh, they're good with feedback?
They are severe with their feedback.
That's so interesting. I wonder if I could
Yeah.
join like a like a Dutch clog community. God,
Yeah.
one
Yeah, you could go
cliche.
make Dutch clogs for an afternoon and then be like, would this be an interesting read to anybody here? You know,
A clog factory. I need a part-time job at a clog factory, but Dutch people wouldn't work in a clog factory.
no,
That is
they're sick of
so.
it. They're done. They're done. They're like that. You're stereotyping us, you big racist.
Well, where do you get hold of Dutch people?
And they would be really on. Well, whoever's being really honest and is tall and blonde, pretty
I
much.
I should go to the Dutch
They,
Pancake House.
well, they have the attitude of, I will not offend you or disrespect you by telling you something that isn't the truth, right? So
Exactly. She
when you
was
say,
just
do these
asking.
pants make my ass look fat?
Yeah.
But based on
You
that
ever asked your wife
trait,
that?
oh, daily, sure, all the time. I'm very insecure about that, but and she goes, no more than normal.
No more than normal. Oh my God, that's so good. Very
But
funny.
but that's the thing is you need somebody who's like the outsider, but has this Dutch perspective of, it would be rude of me not to give a very honest answer.
Okay, so who can I buttonhole into listening to my story idea?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think you go out to a bar with some friends and then say, I'll get this round. And when you go up to the bar to get the round, whoever's next to you, just be like, hey, let me ask you a question,
Oh my God.
right?
Oh, yeah, see, I'm looking. You can go to fucking AI says, go to idea people, story
Yeah.
mentors, consultants,
Yeah.
producers, indie filmmakers, pitch sites, literary
Yeah.
agents, ghostwriters, industry events. They do not
Yeah.
have,
AI is telling you to go to the mechanics.
they're going, exactly,
Talk to a
exactly.
mechanic.
Beta readers. Isn't that, here we go. Writing, here's a Reddit. You know, I love Reddit for random stuff.
I've just found this out.
Oh, I never told you that before?
No, this is a new thing.
Well, I love it. I used Reddit when I was doing the 3-day novel because I wanted to know how people, oh God, a complicated thing with the character backstory. And I had all this info. So much
Hmm.
info. So much. Any topic you want. There's people because it's boots on the ground information. It's not some consultant telling
Yeah.
you their work, stuff. These are people who like I wanted to know what does it take to start a cleaning business. There it was. There was the answer. This guy has
Yeah.
started 3 cleaning businesses and he's like, staff is the most important. Sure, you got to have equipment, but if you haven't trained them and you can't keep them, your business will
Yeah.
go under, right? And I'm like, okay,
Yeah. Wow. Boom.
yeah,
Boy, that's some truth bomb right there.
right? Reddit.
So, all right. So yeah, I think the challenge is finding those people who aren't family, who aren't friends, who aren't going to give you a nice answer, but have a sense of freedom. Be like, yeah, I don't think I'd read that,
Yeah,
or here's my thought, or here's how I feel about it. That,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Okay, I'm gonna think about that some more. I'm gonna come up with a short list, and I'm also thinking you need 5 different people. You can't trot the same idea out on the same person
yeah,
twice.
yeah,
Like after you've improved the idea because it's too late. You've already gotten their feedback.
yeah,
And then they just become like your helper, which, isn't probably what they signed up for anyway. So,
right,
I would say, here's my practical advice. Trying to find 5 people that'll listen to your idea and space it out every couple of weeks. You get the feedback, you think about your
mhm,
idea, don't rush off and say the same thing to the next person.
yeah,
See if the feedback makes sense to you, do it and actually talk it into Zoom. Film yourself, do a little meeting with yourself and say, here I
yeah,
am talking about my idea. Like get good at it because then you'll see their expression change because the idea doesn't work for them, not because you're fumbling around and they feel sorry for you.
right, right. Yeah, no, I like that. Practice on yourself, right?
Yeah.
In a mirror, probably write out something, a paragraph or,
It's easier for me to write out stuff. It is. I
then
don't remember
practice,
stuff that well.
saying it, reading it,
Yeah.
getting comfortable with it, and then go out into the world. And I mean, I'm not kidding when I say, go to a bar because that's where people, there's a certain okayness of just having a random person come up and say, "Let me ask you you mind if I ask you a question?"
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, it's not a bad idea. There's a Legion down the street for me.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
Buttonhole some old guy.
Yeah. Buttonhole some
They tend to
old
have more
bet.
time. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, who does, so the screenwriter that you were talking about, who does he say? Friends?
You know what? I don't know. I read this long interview with him and it said, but I think at first it's he'll run it by a friend maybe. But he also uses random people he doesn't know.
Hmm.
Or he did anyway. I don't even know if the guy's still alive actually. But there you have it.
Yeah. All right. I think random people, and you got to figure out how to get random people.
Yeah, and because friends are going to want to like your idea.
Yeah. Well, and they know you, so it's the person who picks up your book off the shelf,
They don't know you.
the ultimate reader has no clue who you are.
You know who you could also use if you have enough of them? The partner of a friend.
Yeah. Boy, that's a good point.
Because they don't have the connection with you that the friend does. They might not even like you very
Mhm.
much because their partner comes home drunk every time they see you. That's just a hypothetical situation.
Yeah, that's not really happening when you go to
Never.
a friend's house that
I never overserve.
drunk. Yeah. All right. So, do we have a solution here for this problem?
You know what? Our solution is in, yeah, well, I can't articulate it. It's practice. Do it on people you don't know, find them somehow, and then if they're Dutch, all the better.
I think that's perfect. Practice with yourself, get it as good as you can get it. Find random Dutch people in your community and yeah, drive them nuts with it.
Be casual, under the radar, wear different hats every time so that they don't notice it's you stalking the Dutch community for feedback.
Yeah.
Good.
And I have actually a little way to introduce yourself to a Dutch person if I can find it, but I can't seem to find it. Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Okay.
So if you walk up to the Dutch, you find your Dutch person, your target.
Yeah.
You go to them and you say, U dijkbijzijnd een goed toilet met meest privacy, alstublieft.
Where do I find a bathroom with a door?
It says, your nearest, largest, and most private toilet, please.
That's
That's
terrible.
going to start a conversation.
That's terrible advice.
Okay. We'll see how it works.
Yeah. Report back.
Okay, will do.
Thanks for listening to Gifted Underachievers, the podcast for mid-level creatives with delusional ambitions. We'd love to hear how we're doing, so please leave a comment, join our chat page, or send us an email at giftedunderachievers@substack.com. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else you'd like to download your podcasts. And as always, please hit the share and/or subscribe button. It really does help a lot. Thank you, and have an awesome day.